What do you regret finding out? My father never wanted me, or children at all, and actually told my mother that if she had me, he'd spend his life making both of us miserable. She was convinced that once he saw me, he'd change his mind. She was very, very wrong. After my dad died, my mom, before she died, said he always felt my struggles were because of him accidentally dropping me down the stairs as a baby. I struggled in school with math, and physically I have a form of muscular dystrophy, but we didn't know that at the time, so he believed my physical issues were his fault. It apparently ate him up and helped fuel parts of his depression. I didn't need to know that. Edit. Jeepers. Didn't expect this reaction. Thank you everyone for your kind words. My parents did their best and I hold no ill will towards them. My mother didn't tell me to hurt me or my dad's memory. She just wanted to share. I have Becker's muscular dystrophy, a cousin of Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. Mine MD is like the diet right of MD. I get spasms and fall randomly. I was diagnosed after he died, so he never found out. The only anger I live with is 1. My dad died before sharing his meatloaf recipe. 2. My mom died before telling me her biscuits and gravy recipe. They just up and died before telling me. Jerks. That my mom knew my stepfather was abusing me and did nothing. Edit. I wish I could respond to everyone, but to be honest, I don't know that I have the emotional strength. This was a random comment that I did not expect to get much attention. Thank you to those who have given support and kind comments. Fuck you to those who have said I should have done something more as a 10-year-old kid. And I am so sorry to those who have had to deal with the same thing. I wish I could fix it for everyone. I know that today has been painful reading everyone's comments and stories for me. I am so sorry. I'm going to take a nap and turn off my notifications. I always blamed my best friend's erratic behavior on mental health issues until one day I found her passed out on my toilet and realized that her behavior always got erratic after bathroom visits. Unfortunately, she may have mental health issues, but an addiction to certain drugs was the reason for most of her behavior. When I was around 10 years old, I was sitting on the couch and my older sister came towards me with a knife and stabbed a hole in the cushion about a foot from my leg. She pulled the knife out and immediately told me not to tell Dad. I was young and naive, and my sister had kind of twisted sense of humor, so I really didn't know what to think. It definitely did some damage now that I look back on it. Years later, my sister announced that she had planned to attack me with the knife, but chickened out at the last moment. At this point I had all but moved on from the incident. But this brought it all back and then some. My ex said not to worry about a guy when we were together, and she ended up marrying him after 5 years. My dad mentioning how tight my mother is. Thanks Dad. Finding out my ex had slept with my uncle and 3 of my friends. That my ex sabotaged a condom to try and stop me from joining the military. How good it feels to be high on opiates. Edit. After 10 years of addiction, I have over 3 years clean now. My brother's girlfriend's NSFW Reddit account. It's supposed to be a couple's account, so you might guess the horrors I saw in there. The real reason why half of my dad's side of the family doesn't speak to us. We, my twin and I, were always told it was that they just weren't that close and also had some mental health issues, but we learned after my dad died the truth because no one on his side of the family came to the funeral. They opted to have their own. Turns out that my parents had trouble conceiving. This I knew. I also know me and my twin are IVF babies, and we were born very premature. I'm talking 1-pound baby premature. Shortly after, my mom developed breast cancer. What I didn't know was that during this time my dad was also taking care of his sick mother, my paternal grandmother, as well as looking after his sick wife and 2 newborn preemies. He ended up asking his brother to help look after their mother since he'd been the one doing it, so he could care for his family more. Well, soon after my dad spent more time with us versus his mom. She took a turn for the worse and died. And my father's brother blamed him for abandoning the family and blamed my twin and I for the death of our grandmother. Because if we weren't born, my mother wouldn't have gotten estrogen-positive breast cancer, and also they were all very Catholic and IVF was a sin. I never met my grandmother. I'm named for her. But apparently an entire side of the family thinks it's mine and my sister's fault she's dead. Edit. Okay, I know this is a real cliché thing to say, but I did not expect so many replies and support, and discussion about Warzone. And also I've never gotten a platinum before, so thank you. I need a 101% on my chem final to get an A. Realizing I'm not all that okay with being a loner. It was easier when I didn't care that I had very few friends. That my dad abused my sister. This comment is kind of maybe blowing up, so I wanted to clarify something. I wasn't the one that found out. My sister confronted him, one of the bravest things I know of, and legal proceedings began. One night my mom got all of us together and told us that I'm not very smart. I'm not dumb or dim. But I've really had to come to terms with the fact that not only am I not the smartest man in the room, I'm probably damn near the stupidest. Learning from my sister that my father told her that my mom's mom was not paralyzed from the waist down because she fell off a fence. It is that she was beaten so badly by the man she was seeing at the time. What my sister and her boyfriend were doing in the bubble bath. What tinnitus is. Now I can't stop hearing it, sad face. When I was about 14, my mom took me to a tattoo shop to get her nipples pierced. While the procedure was happening, she turned to me and said, "Your dad bites harder than that." I could have lived without that info. The details of my parents' divorce. Thanks, Mom. I didn't meet my dad until I was 15. It was in secret since my mother wanted nothing to do with him. Within the first 3 sentences exchanged, he felt the need to tell me that I was conceived on a beach in July during the last time they had sex. I was the product of going away fuck in a relationship doomed before my conception. He followed it up with, "We were good at 2 things. Me and your mom. Fightin' and fuckin'. Unfortunately, we were fighting more than we were fucking, so it stopped being worth it." 10 years later, and this is still how I get my family history. How many cockroaches there are in Australia. The one that climbed my foot as I sat in the evening gaming freaked me out. That my dad is not my biological dad. My mother died in a car accident when I was 3. I found out from a newspaper article years later that it was her fault. She wasn't paying attention and crossed the yellow line and ended both her life and that of the person in the other car. That I was the asshole in my relationships. Turns out I've become the person I was afraid of becoming my entire life. My dad. A jealous dude with anger management issues who never sees his own faults. To be fair though, I've come a long way since my best friend straight up told me what I've become and that if I stayed that way she was going to stop being friends with me. I guess I don't regret finding out because it helped me get my shit together. However, the fact that you were the asshole and you were the reason some of your friends cut ties with you is a pretty hard pill to swallow. Especially knowing that you'll never get to make it up to some of them because it's been years. Why should they care at this point? How horrible the procedure for taking out your wisdom teeth is. I have to take them all out, so 2 weeks ago I went to the dentist in Europe. Here they don't use laughing gas but just a local anesthesia. I thought that they would take a scalpel and cut away till my tooth came out and then sew it up. Little did I know that they used almost a screwdriver to bend it out and afterwards a plier to bend it out even further. The dentist just leaned in my mouth with what seemed the strength of 1,000,000 suns and cracked out my tooth while I was lying on the bench sweating profusely out of fear. I still have to take out 2 more on my left side. What the Mr. Hands video is. You could wake up mid-surgery. Or, amnesia awareness, where you feel all the pain from a surgery but you're asleep. And a surgery goes on for hours. I regret finding out that a priest I used to admire was a pedophile and has since been defrocked. That my mother knew she had cancer a year before she told anyone, or rather, a year before she was diagnosed, after I literally forced her to see a doctor for her then extremely distended stomach. I was under the impression that we told each other absolutely everything because up until that point, we did. I found out the truth a month after she died when I'd requested all of her cancer-related paperwork from her oncologist. Looking on my ex-GF's phone when we were on a trip to Ithaca, NY. I would take any physical pain I've had so far over that I felt when I saw the things on there. Totally gut-wrenching. I wanted to marry her. Edit. I tried to forgive her and worked very hard to do so. At the end of the year I was ready to start our new life and put it all behind. Got a job in Colorado. We had talked about going there and it was my dream since childhood. The day after I signed a lease for a nice apartment she ghosted me. I tried hopelessly to reach her, calling dozens of times a day. She dumped me over an Instagram message after about a month of this. After trying so hard for her and finally feeling better, She ended it that way and left me completely alone 1,700 miles from anyone I knew. Thought pretty hard about offing myself a few times. That my ex-wife fucked my best friend just after we separated and while I was drowned in depression. I'm a rape baby. About my mom fucking her cousin. Woke up in the middle of the night hearing her say his name. Haunting. Editing to add. Grandpa's brother's son. Just how close my pilonidal cyst, a hole that forms where your tail was as a fetus, was to making contact with my spine. I had a open wound for a year because the first surgeon was a fucking joke and it ripped immediately and he told me to take sit baths to help it close up naturally. By the time 11 months later I got the second surgery, it was apparently only millimeters from tunneling to my spine, which could have caused me infection or death. I wish I never knew how close it was. I am terrified it's still tunneling on the inside even though completely closed now on the outside. That China harvests organs from living people. Specifically political prisoners and then their corpses and thrown in an incinerator. Frankly, the released HK protesters are lucky to be alive. That's like Hitler-level evil and nobody is doing shit about it. Pretty horrifying. Edit. Because I'm sick and this is on point. In the documentary, Expose, I watched a doctor talked about one case. She was a Falun Gong woman who literally fought for her life. She screamed, bit, spat and said something about Falun Gong never dying right. She fought so hard that a number of people had to hold her down. They took out her heart. He said he will never forget the screams. That is resistance to China. When you look at it that way, the HK protesters are so fucking brave. Edit 2. Not the same documentary. Might be. Hopefully it's good. It's from 2 years ago. The traumatic events that happened when I was 5 that my brain deliberately forgot until recently because it's just bad. Edit. Wow. Thank you so much for all the support. I never expected in a million years that so many people would be so kind. Thank you. All these comments are so sad and I just regret finding out that Leroy Jenkins was staged. Edit. Thanks for my first awards and I sincerely apologize for ruining Leroy for you guys. Mom telling me on regular basis when depressed that she wishes she would fall asleep and never wake up. Don't tell a 6-year-old this. Damn. That my younger sister has a high rank in a local BDSM club. That my best friend took her own life. She told me she was moving and gave me all her stuff because she said she had a furnished room where she was going. I hadn't heard from her in a while and she never answered my texts, so I looked up her name to see if she had an accident. No. It was suicide. The kicker is she had talked me out of it back in 2014 and I wasn't able to be there for her. ETA. Thank you all so much for your kind words. They mean more than you know. I love all of you. ETA. I'm doing better after reading all your kind words and messages. I wish I could reply to each one personally. Thank you again for your kindness. The murder of Junko Furuta. My dad informed me when I got back from Iraq that I was the reason he and my mother got a divorce. I never really wanted to join the military anyways. And it fucked me up big time. They had financial troubles and my mom sent me care packages quite a lot. Apparently. That put them into bankruptcy. And if I hadn't joined, it wouldn't have happened. I just wanted to get out of that house because it was like I didn't exist. Edit. I've never received this much support regarding this issue. Thank you. For the first time I think I really believed it when I told myself it wasn't my fault. I'm smiling so hard through the tears. Seriously, THBKU. Edit. Thanks for the award. I've read every comment even though I didn't reply to all. I'm so seriously happy right now and I don't feel like I deserve to be at all, but hell, I'll take it. That I'm ugly. Edit. Okay. So after coming back, I see 37 notifications on my activity. And I was surprised. Even more so to see just how many people came and said such positive things. It made me laugh, and the fact that some of you even stalked my profile is a little weird. But honestly, I don't mind. I don't really have anything to hide. I've liked all the people who responded as I could see. And I'm gonna go back and read some more. I saw some people asking if some kids tell me that. And while that is the case, it was from when I was younger. I grew up in a slightly small town. And I was a year younger than everyone in my grade. Yet I was also the fattest and the tallest. Again, I thank everyone and will try to respond to as many as I can. There used to be a website called TrueGore. Do not recommend. Junko Furuta. Black Dahlia. Degloving. Murder videos. Impalements. Few. I learned about all of these from this website. Edit. The website is called BestGore. Do yourself a favor and don't let curiosity get the best of you. My ex is with a guy who is where I wanted to be in life 5 years ago. Delete Facebook dude. Finding out my father figure, mom's BF, is sexually attracted to me. Even more so since I gave birth. That my girlfriend was orally raped when she was 6 years old. That my mother doesn't actually care for me but uses me as material to show off how much of a good mother she is and denies it by buttering me up to be more grateful about my life. Really hurt. After we broke up, I found out my ex had been online looking for a sugar daddy only 3 months into our 12-month relationship. I thought the whole time she was genuine. Turns out most of the time she was lying to my face. She broke up with me and started fucking her sugar daddy she had found 2 months before she dumped me. About Baby Yoda before watching the show. I regret finding out about Reddit, now I'm on it 24/7. Edit. Thanks mysterious stranger who gave me my second ever silver. Edit 2. Thank you to all my fellow Redditors for 1.4K upvotes. I will never forget this and will happily go around upvoting everyone else. Edit 3. Holy cow. Thanks for my first platinum. That my former best friend was really only friends with me because I drove his drunk ass around. And because he wanted to get in my pants. Good education does not translate into a good job. Study hard and you'll have an easy life later on is what I was made to believe. I'm in search of a job right now. And I've never felt this betrayed. It's like I woke up and living a nightmare. Way back when my husband and I were dating, I snuck a peek at his order history near my birthday and ruined my present. It was an beautiful engagement ring. Exactly what I was hoping for. I was working multiple jobs. Going to school full-time and a general PMS monster during that time. I looked because my birthday present was late, and I assumed that he forgot. Nope. I never told him I knew he was planning on proposing and I don't ever plan to. Lack of sleep. Stress and hormones may have made me quite the bitch around that time, but he always saw me through that and I'm eternally grateful. About that dick fish in the Amazons. My dad telling me exactly how he caught my mom cheating on him. After I specifically asked not to know. Edit. Since people keep asking, I'll relent. He put his tape recorder for his college course. This was in 2007, by the way. 13 years into their marriage and when I was 12, and told my mom that he forgot his backpack, where the recorder was on, and asked her to bring his bag to his workplace. He listened to the recording later and it was basically 20 minutes of a very noisy blowjob. If you knew my mom you'd know how weird that even is to fathom her doing it all. Let alone the fact that she's my mom. Her cheating was a result of his severe neglect though. By the way, they both had equal fault. But being told at 12 years old that your mom cheated on your dad. And then having it brought back up to you again at 23. In vivid detail. Fucks you up X2. That my parents paid less attention to me than any of my other siblings. It still affects me to this day, and while I have certainly made progress on it, it still is hard to get over the favoritism that still continues. Edit. Just editing this so I don't keep getting a ton of the exact same responses, although they are all appreciated. Parents divorced when I was a teenager. My dad has gotten a lot better while my mom has continued to get worse. We are all working on it. Besides my mom. Edit 2. I have read every response and have upvoted all of them. Let's form our own herd of black sheep. That "rappin' for Jesus" was faked. Edit. Sorry for ruining it for everyone like it was ruined for me, although I think we can all agree the pastor got bars. My mum was 14 when she met my dad. He was 24. Anytime I look up how a magic trick is done, I always think I want to know, and then after I find out the magic was more satisfying and regret looking it up. I'm an accident and my mom smoked the whole pregnancy. Girls P*P. Knowing that my mom was just going to abort me and then realized that she had me and has never been there. Yeah, she provided all the material stuff but she never was there emotionally. That has always crushed me. That my father cheated on my mother on a regular basis. I discovered he even went in an orgy while with my mom, which is not a cool thing to learn when you're 15 and don't know if your mother knows or not. Cigarettes are hard to quit. The quality of life in India is horrible when compared to majority of the other countries. Make survival harder in this country knowing that I could have lived a better life had I not been born here. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.